Welcome, everybody, to the Philifeed podcast. This is episode 8, and I am joined, as always, by my friend and co-host, Mr. Eric Jacobson. How are you today, sir?
Happy Cinco de Mayo! I'm good.
Cinco de Mayo. Hey, it is... Wait, is it May the 4th, or was that yesterday?
That was yesterday, but
That
happy
was
May the 4th
yesterday.
as
Wow,
well.
I'm already behind. But yeah, Cinco de Mayo, if you're Spanish, there you go. So we haven't done one of these podcasts in a couple of weeks, so we have a lot of stuff to catch up on. Honestly, like, there wasn't really a reason that we kind of didn't have time for one of the weeks, and the other week is just like, I
Eh.
don't know, that kind of feeling. And I mean, we're not getting paid like anything
To do
at
this.
all to do this. So this is completely hobby based. So I figured, I'd rather produce like a good product than try to go for quantity over quality.
Yeah.
So, but this week we have quite a bit of stuff to cover. And first of all, we'll lead in with what we've been playing recently. And I feel like so. You mentioned that you had some stuff to talk about for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, so I started playing again.
Okay.
Um, it's either a mistake or a mistake, but it'll look. It's still fun, and I'm playing again, and I found that it's very difficult to just jump in. Um, I'm very undergeared. I have no friends. So, and I'm literally like, I talked to a way old friend, and he like invited me to his guild, and I was like, cool, gonna meet some fun people. Everyone hates me. Don't know what it is,
Really?
but like, I ask a question, I'm like, I'm clueless, but maybe someone will help me out, and no one answers. So I'm just like, okay,
So
everyone
is
hates
this
me.
so I'm not a WoW player, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask this. Two
Okay.
questions. So first of all, did you like miss out on some expansions, or like is what makes you so far
So,
behind in
um,
comparison to everybody else?
basically, um, right when the expansion comes out, which is basically when I stopped playing, there's almost no content. There's some dungeons, and there's also heroic dungeons, which is the same thing. It just gives you better gear and it's harder. But I didn't do any of those, so I basically leveled up to 100 and then stopped. And since then, many like two raids have come out, like full blown raids. So everyone else has done those and gone through most of them,
Okay.
and is waiting for the next one. And I haven't even started the stuff that first came out with the expansion. So, well, I have now, but it's just been slow for me, and I'm just kind of catching up based on that because I haven't raided with anyone, and everyone else has. Um,
So what makes you said you were under geared? What makes your previous gear like so worthless in
um,
comparison?
like when a new expansion comes out, your gear does not last long. Um, basically, 3 or 4 levels in. So I was 90, and then by the time I was 94, I'd replaced everything with just stuff that I'd gotten from quests or whatever. And even that is really terrible compared to the raid gear that you get.
Oh,
So
okay.
so once I was done questing, I had all the questing gear, and some other better stuff that I'd either bought or whatever. And then I had to go through all the dungeons to get some of that gear, and then I had to go through the dungeons again, but on heroic mode to get even better gear. And now I'm doing some of the raid stuff. So yeah, I'm just catching up. But honestly, it just sucks because like I'm just trying. I don't want to be like as hardcore as I used to be. I just want to like make friends and
Just
just do
chill with a group of
just hang
people.
out with people. And
Yeah.
it sucks because I can't do that. Like
Yeah.
I just can't find anybody to do that with. So, but I'm
Um,
still having fun. There's not a lot of stuff to do, but there's stuff to keep me busy for a couple hours a day to just you know
yeah. Just
do
kill some
whatever.
time.
Yeah.
Okay, so then my other question was like, if you take a guild, is that just like an assorted group of people? Like, is there anything special about this group of people? Or is it just
Um,
like, oh, here's the group of people that my friend hangs out with. I'm gonna hang out with these people, and oh, it turns out that I'm not well liked.
that's pretty much it. There's like there's a system to create this group of friends. So like you have to go talk to a non-player character and get a guild set up, and you get a guild name. So like you kind of associate with the guild name and all that stuff. And then if you raid, you like get bonuses and all this other stuff. Like if you all raid together from the same guild. And like there's a guild bank, so you can deposit resources and kind of collaborate together. But
Okay.
it's not like there's not like a tiered ranking system necessarily. Like there are guilds that are better than other, but that's just because they've gone through more of the content. It's not because they're like a higher level or anything.
Okay.
Or well, it's kind of hard. There are levels, but they basically just give you perks, which every guild like within the first 2 months is the highest level. So it's not like um, that matters that much.
Okay.
So
I mean, like I just thinking about that concept, just like being like just sitting down with like 6 to 10 other people that you have no idea, and you're just like just there to chill and BS with them. That sounds really appealing, actually.
yeah, it's great. It's just you have to find the people that you kind of jive with, and
Yeah.
like Dylan is really good at that. We have a buddy that plays WoW as well, and he's really good at just finding people and like getting along with them and all that stuff. But he also uses an accent, which is you know he uses an Australian accent that is kind of funny, but he gets some conversation starters going with that.
So he's
But I
like
just
FPS Australia,
yeah, pretty much.
except it's more like WoW Australia.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it's definitely fun to just sit down and raid for 2 hours with a bunch of guys, and it's something to work with, and
yeah.
guys and girls.
And I mean, like, yeah, and having, like, I don't know, presenting yourself as a sort of fresh slate is kind of interesting too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, nobody knows much about you, so, like, you just kind of gradually reveal parts of yourself. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, so I've been playing a few different games recently. I've been a little bit more turned off from League of Legends. Not turned off. It's just I happen to not have played as
That's the
much League of
same thing for
Legends.
me.
It's just that whenever I launch League of Legends and I'm at the main menu, I'm like, do I really want to play this game right now? Like, I might leave this game pissed off compared
Yeah.
to other games where I can leave that game, happy and glad to have spent
Mhm.
time in it. But like,
I've-
yeah, exactly. That's like the other game that I've been playing. I've been progressing through the campaign still. Have you played much of the campaign? Like, have you beat it at all?
I'm like 30 or 40% in.
How do
So
you check your percentage?
I don't know. There's a
Is it
couple of points where I've seen percentage. I don't know. It's probably in game settings or something.
okay?
Um, I could
Well,
look, but
so like, what was like the
gosh,
last mission that you did?
it's honestly been a long time since I played. I've been playing online lately, but let me
Okay,
think.
I haven't actually touched online yet.
I think. Oh God, I don't remember. I'm a little bit past like all the entanglement with the FIB. Um,
Okay,
like there's still that tool. I don't know what he's doing.
Devin.
Yeah, whatever his
That
name is.
is he the douchebag that's always just a bitch to you, basically?
Yeah, he's like tall and he's got blonde hair and he looks like a hunk, but he's also like a huge dick.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely Devin.
Yep.
Um, so my most recent mission was playing as Trevor, and we had to like follow like a cargo jet. So basically, the FIB needs you to do this mission, and they're expecting you to pay for the gear for the mission. And
Oh,
they were
okay.
like, "Oh, you need this roto blade chopper. That's gonna cost you 2 million." So then we had basically you go on a secondary heist to earn
Still.
enough money to then go on this mission.
Oh,
Um,
I don't
so I'm
think I've
in
done
that
that
whole
yet.
mess. But I don't know how far that is in. Somebody, leave a
Yeah.
comment, let me know, because I don't want to, too lazy to do the Googling myself.
Yep.
But I've been playing GTA, been having a lot of fun with that. I have really started to not like playing as Trevor because I feel like I don't know. He's so over the top. Um,
Yeah, like I mean, he's a character that's like easy to write for. I feel
oh yeah,
like he's very like you could do whatever and it'd be like okay, that's Trevor. Like
yeah.
I mean, you can do anything you want. That's as long as it's past a certain crazy threshold. Um,
But it's like he was he's just so repulsive that I've
yeah.
just stopped wanting to play as him.
There's one
Um,
point where he like shits behind a garbage can and doesn't wipe, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, it's just like, get a house, shit in the house, go to a gas station. I don't care.
yeah,
It's just gross.
I just the most recent thing with him was you were at his meth lab, which is a burnt out gas station basically, and he pulls this like disgusting bowl of food slash just gross things, and he like gave it to Michael first to like I don't know to just be a gracious host, and Michael asked if he just found an eyelid in this bowl of disgusting garbage.
Gross.
So that was really appetizing. And he also just randomly threw up in the middle of a doorway and just kind of left after that. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking gross.
I like how
Um,
you like the introduction with him is him having sex with a hooker.
yeah, that
That's
that
the first
was
thing you see.
yeah, that was about as good of an introduction as they could have wrote for him, I think,
I
honestly.
think so.
And then you sort of end with just stomping a guy's head in. That's pretty classy too.
Yeah, he's gross.
So, um,
Still
GTA
fun game though.
5, and then I've still been playing more Hearthstone.
Okay, a
I don't know if you've been playing on your phone at
little
all,
bit.
being that didn't
Not as
release for
much.
mobile. Not as much.
Yeah, I still don't have any of the BlackRock stuff, which is not like detrimental to my
No.
playstyle, but it's just, I haven't I go through phases. I kind of get bored with games pretty easy, so I go back and forth and that's about it.
Except for WoW, I
Except for
think.
WoW, which is weird.
It has that effect on people.
Hmm.
Let's see, and then I've also been playing Portal 2 on my laptop, just like
Yeah.
during
Study
my spare
hall.
time, I guess. And that's been super fun. Like I actually never completed Portal 2 on the first go around because I got stuck on a puzzle and I was just like, screw this, I'm out. But that was like a year ago, and I found that I've like puzzles are way more easier to solve for some reason. I don't know if that's just like a maturity thing, but I don't know. It's just like everything has been so good, and like the writing for that game is so good because they are probably the best game I've ever seen that has like really subtle humor. Like they
Yeah.
have really really good subtle humor, and everything that people say in that game, like you'll never know when they're gonna make a joke or something that'll make you chuckle, and I really appreciate that in games.
Yeah. When you first like started replaying Portal 2, I was kind of like weary. I was like, why are you playing Portal 2? But now that I've kind of like watched you play it, I remember why that game is fun. Like
Yeah.
I I don't I don't know if it's like if it deserves like we were talking about how it's like the number one game on Steam or something like that, and I don't know if it deserves that,
Not
but it's
recent. Oh yeah,
still
yeah, yeah.
it's
Okay.
still it's still fun. Like it's still definitely worth whatever we paid for it, $60. I think I bought it for both Xbox and PC, so um but I mean it's fun.
I don't remember
Fun
if it was
game.
a $60 game. I don't know, but
We could look it up.
I mean, yeah, it's just I've like me as a gamer has never been a huge fan of puzzle games, and like this is the first time going through a puzzle game where I'm like, this is actually pretty good. Like you really get a feel for the level design, and it's like, oh, well, I don't know what to do now, but like I don't know, like typically in other situations there must be some sort of wall around here where I can put a portal on and that'll lead me to the next step, and like you just gradually sort of figure that stuff out, and
Yeah.
turns out to be really fun. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing. So, would you like to move on to one of our topics here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we missed out on the whole Valve and paid modding thing back when it was fresh a couple weeks ago,
Yep.
but I still wanted to chime in, beat this dead horse a little bit more, and just kind of give my slash our 2 cents on the topic because I feel that
Hmm.
it's still a little bit relevant. So if you have been living under a rock, Valve recently announced paid modding for, well, starting out with Skyrim. And only a couple of days later, they actually retracted that whole system because the community reacted in such an, like, with such outrage that Gabe Newell himself actually did an AMA on Reddit, kind of like, I don't know if it was really made to sort of soothe, not soothe, but like just sort of explain their motives to
Yeah.
the community. So that was kind of interesting, but
Can I say something?
yeah.
Just to give you like an idea of how the community reacted to this, when Gabe Newell did an AMA, the top comment that I saw said, "You need to click on his account because almost every comment he's posted has been downvoted."
Really?
Yeah, like that's what I saw when it was listed was
Maybe I saw a cached version because he still had like thousands
if
of
you're looking for
upvotes.
Gabe's comments, you will need to look at his profile as he is getting downvoted so much.
Really? Well, that is interesting. I did not see that.
Yeah. So
Um,
apparently there's not nobody's like Reddit is in love with Gabe Newell. Reddit has a lot of weird obsessions with humans, and he is probably number one on the list
yep.
because he's a god. But point being, that's really weird
Yeah,
to see.
so here's the thing. So Valve made previously free mods for Skyrim now cost money. And I totally get their motive behind doing so. Their motive was, at least what they said, first of all, their number one hidden motive is to always make money. But the motive that they said was that they want modding to be this full-time position where people can actually make a living out of something that they love. Okay, I totally get that. The thing is, there's at least two problems I have with this. First of all, the mods, like, if you take like an armor sort of mod, right? The most popular one, I think, on Skyrim Nexus is called Immersive Armors. I'm just gonna double check that really quick. I'm like 99% sure that is correct, but so if you took something like Immersive Armors, which is actually the largest one, now that I've confirmed it,
Wow.
that mod itself I would pay around $3 to $4 for. Okay, a lot of these mods had less than what Immersive Armors has in terms of content, and they were charging more, something like, around the area of like $10 for it. Now, obviously, lesser mods were also there that cost maybe around $1, maybe 50 cents to $1. But I, first of all, have an issue with the price point because I feel like mods are not, like, you are paying $60 for Skyrim, okay? That is X amount of content. I'm not going to pay 1/6 the price of this X amount of content to get 20th the amount of content. The ratio is not there. You have to have more in a mod. And that was one of the things that they were talking about too, is that, oh, with paid modding now, because you're being paid money, people will be more incentivized to make bigger, better mods. And okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. But again, like, I personally am not going to pay, $10 for this armor mod so that I can
Yeah.
look cooler. That's
Yeah.
that's not worth it to me.
So here's the thing that I like to kind of think of it is like it's almost the equivalent of mobile games, and I don't know how much coding goes into both mobile games and um, a mod, but it's not like mod coding is not near full-fledged game coding, I would imagine, unless you're literally redesigning the whole game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would
So
I would compare them like maybe around equally because mobile game you're creating something from scratch, but
yeah,
I think like
but
Skyrim mods, for
it's
example,
much
include like much higher definition textures which you might
yeah.
create from scratch and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, and it totally all depends on the mobile game and the mod. So I'm not trying to generalize here. I'm just saying it would be good to price point it much like a mobile game. right? So a mobile game average is a dollar,
Dollar to
$2.
$2.
Yeah. Some of them are $6, and those are larger games that people spent way more time on, or people just fishing for more money. But point being, I would pay a dollar or $2. A, if it were easy to pay for, and B, if it were a good a mod that I want, right? Like a
Right.
good mod that I want to play. That's kind of the problem. Is I don't know how much Apple takes when you buy an app on the App Store, but what you told me is that Steam wanted to take 75% of profits,
Yes,
which is ridiculous.
that was my second point. Is that Valve, the current way it was set up was that Valve was going to take 75% of all revenue from these mods, and that is outrageous. That is so insultingly high, because they are essentially. I mean, I would like to know more on why they set that so high, because that is
Yep.
so insane that there's got to be a reason for it. But like,
I know.
that is, they are literally only hosting the mod on Steam, and they're going to take 75% of all revenue from that. That means that if you are wildly successful, you make the most popular game on Steam, you sell $1 million worth of your mod, you're only going to get $250,000 of that money.
That's
Like,
ridiculous.
that's $750,000 just gone, just like that.
I
That
just looked
is
it up. Apple gets 30% of revenue.
that's
That
pretty high
is
as well.
there's that's I would say that is high. You're right. But that's probably a good amount, right? If you think of like if I get an agent and I'm gonna go entertain people, an agent is gonna take 10 to 20%.
True.
That's a pretty decent. Like you're still getting 70% of profits.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And if you make a successful app or mod, you're gonna make a lot of money. People make a lot of money from these apps. Like, can you imagine
Clash of
like
Clans.
Clash of Clans, for example? Although I don't know how that works because they're making extra money from extra things. But if you think about like even just you could put ads in your mod. Now that sounds crazy, but hear me out. You're walking down through Whiterun, right? You turn and you see a window, and in the window is the Nike logo. Marketing genius. You're playing
Um,
Skyrim and you see Nike. You're walking around, you see a guy, he has Nike shoes on. Genius. You're making money.
that's actually already been done in racing
Really?
games, and people have absolutely hated it. Yes.
Really? I don't
Yes.
get that.
I would also hate that, because you are trying to be immersed into this game and this universe, and oh, here's an ad of Pepsi.
It
Like,
depends on the game. I suppose Skyrim is not a good example. If it were like something like Grand Theft Auto 5, I'd be totally fine with it because it's real life, right?
yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
reality. If I see a billboard and it says Pepsi, that's more immersive, to be honest,
Yeah.
because that's reality.
Totally.
But no, I agree. I mean, yeah.
Um
But honestly, you could have even in the loading screen have like a 10-second ad play. I'd be totally fine with that if I weren't paying for this full-fledged mod, or if I were paying 99 cents for a full-fledged mod.
so you're saying if it was more of like a free to play model, where like, okay,
Yeah,
this mod is free, but like, that's actually interesting, because say that system was implemented and you have 7 different graphical mods. How's that going to work in terms of ad revenue? How's that going to be
that's
split?
true. Yeah, that's true.
Um, but anyway,
I mean, I'm not saying that this should be a reality. I'm just saying it could be an idea, and if we could work around it, you know,
yeah,
that might be. I want modders to be rewarded for their time,
yeah,
and I'm sure they're rewarded community-wise because people love them, and they might be making ad revenue from, probably not
their
from like
websites or
Nexus mods or
something.
something.
Maybe
Yeah, I don't,
that's kind of negligible, I would
yeah.
guess. But so yeah, lower the price. Cut down your percentage take. I feel like
Honestly,
20% is like a good area.
yeah.
Like, I don't know the cost to maintain servers that will host these mods. Obviously, I'm uneducated in that area, but it
But it's
seems
not
to
that
me
much.
like even 30% is a little
Like
bit
if you
high.
think about like okay, this is maybe a bad example, but because Microsoft is like a huge company, but so is Valve, so I suppose not.
Valve is,
Microsoft
yeah.
Microsoft has cloud servers for your data storage, and you're not paying a dime for 25 gigabytes of storage.
Yeah.
And that's all cloud service, which is new tech, which is, maybe sort of expensive for them, but they're providing a free service.
Yeah.
So
So
I don't get how that is like a huge problem for Valve to be like, oh, it costs so much money to run this databases. It's
well,
like, I doubt it.
if you think about, so in your example, you have cloud storage where I don't think people are going to be downloading from the server constantly. I think in Steam they're looking to like have the fastest speeds. You want to be able to service your customer base to the best of your ability.
Yeah. But
So
they already
that
do
would
that with like TF2 and CS:GO, don't they? Don't they already have some preset servers that they're working with, or is that all community based?
I don't know. But I mean, like I'm talking about the servers that host the game files and not like dedicated servers that you might play in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
So, like, if you need to distribute 60 gigabytes to every person who downloads GTA 5, that better be fast and it better be able to withstand a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
So, point
But I mean,
being,
but they already. I'm sure they have, because they already do that with all of their games, and I'm sure they already
yeah,
do that with all these new greenlight games that are being greenlit.
yeah.
So
But point being, 75% is outrageous, and I would argue that even 30% is pretty high. I think
yeah.
honestly that might be Apple just being greedy.
Well, Apple.
But so I was watching the co-optional podcast where they were talking about this as well, and one thing that Total Biscuit said was that people are again tired of being nickeled and dimes over these games, and I would totally agree with that standpoint because it's like how many games can you think of that you've played in the last 2 weeks where there hasn't been some sort of microtransaction system in place where like developers are just not, I mean, it might not be developers, it might even be publishers too, but like they're just looking to make more money and like, oh hey, here's maybe $1 here for a skin, maybe $2 here for another thing, and like this is just another form of nickel and diming customers, and people are frankly
Yeah.
sick of that, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's hard. Look, I mean, it could go both ways, right? Wherever there's a market, someone's going to exploit it, right? Like I'm gonna
Yes.
focus. Okay. So if someone wants to buy a mod for $10, then they're gonna buy that mod for $10 and they're gonna make money. But I get that it's annoying, right? Like it's annoying to have uh, li- like in any situation, it's annoying to have to pay 99 cents for a skin that looks really cool, or even pay 99 cents for a gun that's really good, right? Like all of these things suck. It sucks to have to go through these barriers that are constantly prompting you for money. But I get that it's being done, and I don't know a way around it.
I mean, it's like, here's the thing. People, like, games are bigger and better than ever before, right? If you
Yep.
take, Team Fortress 2 would be a bad example, but, like, okay, so, oh, that would be a bad example, too. Basically, what I'm trying to say, is that, like, a lot of the time, the extra content is worth the money. So, like, if you want to pay. Oh, that's actually a bad example too. Anyway, oh, I lost the train of thought. What
Is
was I thinking?
Hearthstone is Hearthstone a good example? If you want to
Like,
pay for cards, then
well, it's like
it's worth it, but I don't know.
it feels like if you were to buy, let's say like a $30 game off of Steam, you're
Hmm.
not getting the full game. There's other stuff that you can spend
Yeah,
money on, and
that's
like it
true.
feels like it's just limitless as to how much money you can spend on a game. Like Hearthstone, you can drop $60 on that game and buy like a bunch of packs, and you still don't feel like you have the full experience of the game because you don't
Yeah,
have all
that's
the
true.
cards.
Exactly.
So I don't know. That's just
Yeah,
I
I'd
don't know.
rather Okay, here's what I'm thinking. I would rather pay the full $60 and get everything.
Right.
I would like it even in a card game like that, right? With Magic, it's different because there's millions of cards, right? Like there's too many for me to pay $60 and get they wouldn't make a profit. But with something like um with something like Hearthstone, they're kind of going in between with these adventure things, which is, that's okay, but um I would rather pay $60 and get every single card in the game, and if you release new content, I would pay $4 or $5 to get that new content. I don't want to pay $25 because that's ridiculous. But I would pay, maybe $5. But I honestly don't know if I really have to, right? Because like if you make this game and you set it up in a way where there's going to be more cards in the future, I feel like that's your prerogative to just give it to the people that bought your game. Like that's to me
If they
makes the
pay
most sense.
$60.
If they pay $60, yeah. It's like I don't. There was a time when even if you there was actually a time where you had to wait way longer to make your game because you couldn't just patch games way back
Right,
when,
yeah.
right? You couldn't add DLC to games. You had to make another game and then sell it for $60. But and the fact that that world is gone is fine, but I don't want to pay that. Like I don't want to pay more often because it ends up being paying more money
In the long run.
in the long run.
Right.
Like
And
even if it's $14 here and $14 there, it ends up adding up to like hundreds of dollars for a game that I don't know would be worth that much.
yeah. And like honestly, I think it's a little bit of a market strategy. Like, okay, Hearthstone does it absolutely spectacularly, and this is so genius because as soon as people start to basically get burnt out on the game, they release a new expansion, Black Rock Mountain, and they say, "Oh, hey, come back to our game and spend money while you're here." Because the longer that people are in a game, the more likely statistically that they are to spend money on it.
Yep.
It's all just a money making scheme in the long
Yep.
run, and I mean, I totally understand that, but like at a certain point, it gets so tiring because you're
Yep.
like, okay, so I've spent how much on this game now? Like it's just frustrating.
It is. And
I don't know.
um, you know, it's like I would be willing to spend $60 if I had, if even if I worked however many hours it would take, at the place that I work to get that. I just I just don't want to pay that, every other month, like for the same game.
Yeah,
And that's pretty much what it adds up to. Is if I keep buying cards and I keep buying these packs and I keep buying these expansions, it just gets to add up. And I bet I spent $300 on a game that I haven't played for more than a year
yeah,
because it hasn't even been out for more than a year, and I'm already kind of bored of it. Like it's just like it's fun, but it's not. I don't know. It's just like it just bothers me that they're just milking as much money as they can get. But I know that it's just a how it is now. Like that's just how people make money.
yeah. All right, so
I did look it up, by the way, just as a side note, right before we end, because we're going to end after this, is not end this podcast, but end this topic. Notch, this is how I'm getting my information. Notch released why Minecraft isn't on Steam, and his reasoning is that they took 30% of all Steam games sold, PC games. So they're taking over twice, almost three times, um, 2.5 times the normal price for their Greenlit game from these mods, which is ridiculous.
oh, so Greenlight they're taking
Yeah,
30% from.
maybe even
I
other
mean,
games. Like if I get Valve or um like if the new Call of Duty comes out, I'm sure they're still charging 30%. I'm not sure on that, but
yeah,
you know
that's
that and
I don't
like
know.
that's a lot, but 75% is just gargantuan.
Yeah,
It's just
that
ridiculous.
is not cool.
So
I mean, at least give them half because they went through the effort to
I
make
know.
the mod. Like they're the entire reason that you're making money in the first place. But hey, Valve is so gigantic that they can just get away with that stuff,
Yep,
and I hate that.
it's a
Um,
huge monopoly.
so anyway, talking about money, I want to. This isn't the primary focus of the topic, but I want to talk about the new Black Mesa release on Steam. So I don't know if. So you said you haven't played Black Mesa. To
No.
anybody who's watching who has played Black Mesa, it is now on Steam for $20. And this previously free version is like gone now. They took down that website. Or not the website, but like the link to
The
download it.
link.
So, but the thing is, while the game is good, it is still only 85% complete because I believe it's the last chapter has still not been finished, and it is in early access on Steam. This is such an example of why early access is I don't like it because you get to put up an unfinished game and expect to make money on it, and when it's not finished, like it's to me, there's something morally wrong, but it seems like this is just a widely accepted phenomenon.
Yeah,
Like, oh hey,
we.
here's my half-finished game. Give me money while I finish it. Like,
I understand.
you have to post a
Um,
product,
I
a finished
know.
product.
So like if I went and I went to the swappers meet and I sold a chair with only two legs, no one would buy my chair.
No,
No one would buy my chair, and
because
that's
it's
kind of a bad example because it doesn't work
okay.
without. But like, say three legs, it still works, but it's not finished. It doesn't look nice, right? Like, no one's gonna buy that. It's like we went like I get it, okay? So we went from paying other people to beta test, right? That's kind of what it started out as when you first made your game. You paid people, they beta tested it, they gave you feedback, you fixed the problems.
Right.
Then it went to open beta testing. So you would go and you would say, "Here's my game, beta test it. Here's a forum, explain the problems, we'll fix them." Then it went to, "Here's my game, here's where you can buy my game for $30, and here's where you can explain what is everything that's wrong with the game, and maybe we'll fix it because it's, I mean, we're already making money, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, that's the worry, is like, if I buy your game and suddenly you decide not to finish it, I'm like, well, shit, I'm out $30
It's
for
not.
playing this unfinished game.
I mean, even in your example, you're saying, here's my game. In this example, they're saying, here's 85% of my game.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not a finished game yet. Now, here's the thing. Black Mesa, which is basically Half-Life 1, but just remastered, is a really long game. So there's a lot of content there to obviously, entertain people. Like, if the game's 10 hours long, there's 8 hours of gameplay for you right there, which is more than a lot of other games. But it's just like, while I understand how, like, the urge to do it, I don't like the fact that that developers are like, oh, here, let's make money while, like, I'm not phrasing it correctly, but it's like, let's post a shitty product and make money for it. And, like, it's that sort of sentiment that I feel is
Yeah.
going on, at least to a small degree, in
Yeah,
terms of a
and
lot
I
of
get,
early access
like,
games.
part of the argument on the other side is, okay, well, here's some people that don't have a lot of money and want to make a game, right? So they're going to make as much as they can with the money they have, and then release it for $20 and see if they get some more
Yeah.
revenue to try and
Okay.
finish the game.
Yeah.
But then again, like, why, like, like, that's a big risk. You're already starting your investment. What if people don't buy your game, right? Like,
Yeah.
you maybe just put all of this like, and that is a huge risk, and that's risks people are willing to take. But I just I just I don't know where I was going with that, but like, that's the other side of the argument. I just want to present that, but I just don't agree with it. I just don't.
I think that's a rare situation though as well.
Yeah. But like my the thing I had in mind was DayZ, right? I think that was the case, wasn't it? Where they just like didn't have enough money to finish it, and they were like, "Well, shit, what are we gonna do now?"
Um, I
I don't know
I
that for sure.
couldn't say with any certainty. That's not. I would assume that they made a lot of money off of the actual mod for Arma 2.
Hmm.
So
That could be true.
unless that was a
I don't
completely
know.
free mod, then that might be something entirely different. Like
Yeah, but I
they might
mean,
not have made any money.
I watched Video Game the movie, which a while ago, which is about indie game developers, and that does kind of enlighten you on how the process works, where these people have no job, they have money saved up, but they just survive making this game. They wake up at eight in the morning and they work for 13 hours on this game, and they sleep, and they just repeat that for months. And finally, they get this game going, and this is my example I'm thinking of is Super Meat Boy, and they sell it, and these guys just got so lucky, and that's totally cool, and that's a risk they were willing to take and all that stuff. But like, they did it the hard way, and they were successful. And these people seem to be taking an easier route that I just don't think is doing more harm than I think it is like doing good.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I'm sure people are just still waiting for Daisy to just be finished, which I don't think it is.
Yeah, it's
Um,
still, I believe, in alpha,
and
like
how many years has
3 to
this been
4
going
years
on?
later.
Oh, like they took the money. I bought that game, or I may have gotten it as a gift from a friend, but like someone bought that game and paid money, and I played it a little bit, and I was like, this is totally unfinished. It's
Broken and
it's
not
very
fun.
broken. So, like, if you want to play it and you want to buy it, go right ahead. But I don't see, like, I don't. Maybe I don't see this as continuing to be a successful thing, right? Like this may just be a phase of people that are like, well, maybe we can get away with this, and then they just won't
Yeah,
eventually.
and I mean that's something that like again using Total Biscuit, he's been advocating to people is like do not like I will never purchase and play an early access game and I
Uh,
advise you to never
to
play
do
and
the
purchase an
same.
early access game because
Yeah.
you are encouraging this distribution of an unfinished product and in the real business world that's not how it works. Like this
This could,
shouldn't
I
work
mean,
for the video game industry either.
yeah. This could, I mean, it could be also compared to like Kickstarter, right? Where you're just investing. But I feel like the impression people get is like, oh, here's this game, I'm going to buy it and play it. And that's not exactly what's happening. It's kind of a middle ground between investing and just purchasing a product. And it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. It just seems fishy, right? Like it's just not legitimate.
Okay, so we've got about 15 minutes left here.
Cool.
I think the other thing I want to talk about is, unless you have something that is glaringly
I
sticking
was
out to
gonna
you.
bring something up and I don't remember what it was. So I think we can just keep going because I'm
Okay.
not gonna remember it.
The next thing I wanted to discuss a little bit was, it's not really the news piece that I'm looking at here, but The Witcher 3 in general. So, The Witcher 3, some new screenshots were released, and these are from, I believe, Xbox One, because they showed the X, A, Y, and B, um, X, A, Y, and B controller icons, and I think I might actually add the scene really quick. Just give me a second.
Could be a port, but you know,
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that it's a port. In terms of the PC version.
I just hope they do well. I hope they do it like Grand Theft Auto.
So these are 4 new screenshots. Oh, there's actually way more. Okay, so I guess like I'm not like it's not the screenshots that I'm excited about. I'm just excited about this game because I
Hmm.
think it looks like almost the new Skyrim in terms of just the RPG element and how immersive it can be and how
Yep.
cool and just beautiful it looks.
And the story.
And the
My God, this
story.
story of The Witcher has been just legendary in the past. Like apparently the story is just so godlike from
Yeah,
these
so
games.
um I played. I don't know if so. I played like an hour or two of The Witcher 2. Now, this version of the game that I might have been playing may not have been the version from Steam,
Okay.
and therefore it was a little bit buggy and very broken, and the controls
But I will tell you
sucked.
this. I have The Witcher 2 from Steam, and it sucks.
Okay,
The
so
port is really bad. So,
so that game might just better be played on consoles, which I would actually totally do right now if I had. Well, maybe I still do actually have an Xbox 360 in my closet, but I don't know. It's just this game looks so awesome and so beautiful, and I mean, there's like um, tens of minutes of gameplay on YouTube. Like, there's probably like an hour total of like unique gameplay that you can watch.
mhm.
And from what I've seen of that, it's just looks so awesome.
It's pretty, yeah.
So, so
So,
anyway, I
is
mean,
there anything
did
else you
we have
want to talk
anything
about?
else that we wanted to talk about on this game?
How many minutes do we have left? Can I bring
Like
up
12-ish.
can I bring up something sort of minute but still a topic conversation?
Sure.
So, it's going back to virtual reality. Um, Microsoft has been talking about HoloLens, which is their augmented reality machine thing, and
Yeah.
you can look that up. But they listed, or they said somewhere, they did another presentation on it, just to kind of show the potential of what it can do. And then I think at that presentation, or just recently in like a press release, they announced that it was going to be significantly more expensive than a console. So
So like in
people are
the
expecting it to
1200
be,
range.
yeah, in the thousands of dollars.
Oh,
Yeah,
easily.
like upwards of 1,000.
That's
Which,
nothing less than I expected.
yeah, which I mean, with Microsoft, I was a little surprised because they seem to be quite fair, but also it's brand new technology, like brand new, and I get it. Like, that's pretty reasonable. But like, what is the HTC like virtual reality set going for? Like 400, 500?
I don't
Or
know. The
like
the
if you buy the
Vive.
dev kit, if you buy the dev kit of Oculus Rift, it was like 399 or 398 or whatever it was, I believe.
Oh yeah, the Oculus Rift is like 400, 500.
Yeah. So I mean, to each their own. It's probably going to be some industrial sized kind of project that it's that's the market, I think, is because they've been talking about at least right now they've been talking more about like the new presentation was um, they were looking at a wall, and on the wall was projected the 3D image of the blueprints of inside the wall, so you could see all the wiring and like the piping and stuff
Oh,
like
that's
that.
super cool.
And the point of that was they were trying to put a door in, and they had to know where to cut and where to like fit this door in so that they didn't cut any wires or piping or anything like that. That's at least what my dad told me. So, I think it's going to be more for like a large company is going to buy a few of these just for convenience sake. But I think eventually, as the tech moves on and as newer and newer versions of this come out, it'll be more commercialized and distributed through the common people, much like we want, or at least much like I want.
Yeah, and I think price point is huge when it comes to
Yeah.
widespread distribution.
Yep.
Honestly, like the fact that this is so expensive makes me even more excited because I feel like you get what you pay for in this area.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be priced a little bit more because it's a little bit more riskier with like this kind of tech and stuff.
Mhm.
But like if it is really worth how much it costs, then that is awesome.
Yeah.
That means that it is um
That
like
means
fully
it's good
fledged
tech.
in its features and stuff.
Yep.
So that's super cool. But yeah, I could totally see if this starts off in the industrial area. Like I could see
Construction.
some sort of like manufacturing
Yep.
company like I don't know, I couldn't think of one off the top of my
Or like
head.
just even an example, like if you're
rich.
Yeah, if you're no, well, if you're a company, right, and you need your if you're training people in, right, on how to construct like an assembly line on an assembly line, just construct a product, you can have them use this HoloLens and it'll point out like this product goes here and you fit it in like this and you do all this other stuff. And then you could teach them via that, and then once they learn, you just set it aside, and then when you hire new people, you could reuse this as just a teaching tool, right? Instead of having wasting time and having your other more experienced employee being like, "All right, see, here's how you fit it in," and spending 3 or 4 days trying to get them to understand one product. It's just simple things like that that could just completely um, like speed up the process of manufacturing, and it could be used in a wide variety of things.
I guess by manufacturing, I was talking more about like designing,
Yeah, even
like
that.
some sort of like civil engineer in terms of like building construction and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
or like if you think about like Tony Stark level stuff, like he had in his Iron Man movie, right,
Yeah,
where he could like throw this up and there's a projection. It could be the same thing, right? You're just designing something awesome, and you
yeah,
want you want this cool technology to help you do that. It's perfect.
yeah. That's super awesome. And like I honestly hope this is way more of a success than Google Glass because Google Glass
Yeah,
was
it was a fallout.
it's yeah, it wasn't
They
a
just they
failure,
just didn't.
but it
Yeah,
was I think it was
it actually
overpriced for what it did.
it was a failure because they stopped doing everything
Yeah,
with Google Glass. So they
but
just
I mean more like that like as soon as somebody bought one, they didn't like immediately hate it. Like
yeah,
it had its uses.
yeah. It's
Um
just it wasn't widespread enough for them to make a profit off of it or
yeah.
make it useful. But like they had so many things wrong with it. Like the battery life sucked, and it was just an array of things. But
Yeah, so
it's something like they wanted to push the tech forward, and they just didn't have the resources to push the tech forward. It seems,
yeah.
or the research.
I don't know, that's I mean, regardless, anything VR at this point that's new and groundbreaking is super cool.
Yeah.
Um Okay, so and then the other things, I guess I'll just mention these, being they're more just better suited as announcements than like discussion
Yeah.
points. But Wolfenstein: The Old Blood was released recently. If you were into Wolfenstein: The New Order, which I played it and was definitely a fan of it, then I've heard that it is also suggested because it's basically more Wolfenstein: The New Order. It's actually a prequel to that game, so you get to kill just a bunch of Nazis while the Nazis are still in power. Um,
And
there
it is, by the way,
was,
can I add? It's a let me speak. It's a $20 game.
yeah, I
And
don't,
do you need the other game? I don't think you
I don't
do.
think so.
No.
And that was something that I thought too. I think it's actually more because it's not like a full-fledged game.
Yeah,
I
but
think it's
still, even if
actually
you
like almost like an expansion kind of.
got 95% of 190 user reviews for this game are positive. So
What percentage? 90%?
95, 95.
That's pretty good actually.
That is very good.
But yeah, I would be curious to see why it's $20. Like how many, like what
Like how
extent of
many hours?
content is in this game? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was that, and then GTA 5 is kind of a clusterfuck right now with all of its modding and patching, and the patches breaking the mods and people complaining.
It's new.
Um,
It'll get fixed.
and then TF2 implemented matchmaking. That, in summary, I don't get why that's such a big deal because people are just having a fit on the internet about this implementation, and basically, as I see it, you were able to make competitive matches from third-party sites before. So why is this such a big deal if it's not implemented into the default game? And then Call of Duty Black Ops 3 trailer. I don't know if it came out recently, but It's
Something to
just
talk
something
about.
I don't know. Like I don't know. I was gonna see if we had any interest in the upcoming Call of Duty type of stuff, but I think we're both kind of past that whole FPS genre.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's like maybe a topic for next week or something.
Yeah.
But I think we'll wrap up the podcast there.
Cool.
So that was episode 8. Feel free to leave a rating and stuff on the video if you did enjoy it. And I'd like to say thank you all for watching, as always. And last of all, you can find myself, obviously. If you're watching this, you're on my channel, so go subscribe. And if you'd like to follow Eric, he posts funny stuff on Twitter. I think is that your sort of sales
That's
pitch
my sales
for your
pitch.
Twitter?
Plus funny stuff.
So follow at Eric W. Jacobson, and you'll maybe get a chuckle out of his tweets. So that's pretty much it for today, and thank you for watching, and goodbye.